Hello everybody and welcome back. Good to talk to all of you again today. And first things first, I apologize if I sound like complete crap during today's video. Currently am down with flu, I think, and just not feeling all that hot. But it has been too many days since the last video, so I'm going to get one made. I've had this footage recorded for like 2.5, 3 days now, and I've just not been feeling that great. So, gonna get this done and gonna go back to bed. Anyways, so Normandy battle. I like the ship. I really do. There are, and I sort of mentioned this before. I think that there are a few ships on the French line, the French BB line, that are really, really good. The Normandie is one of them. The Lyon is one of them, and Alsace is one of them. So why do I like the Normandie? Well, I like the Normandie because for me she's a good combination of speed, protection, and firepower. She's just got that nice combination. She's relatively fast even when she's stock. When she's fully upgraded, she's even faster. Her guns, she's got 12 of them. So good firepower there. Although in close-in BB fights, there is a way to neuter the Normandy, and I'll show you that in another video another day. But typically speaking, if you're careful and you're somewhat at range, she's pretty well protected. Again, very good firepower. Her dispersion sigma is all pretty darn good. Her one weakness really is AA, but in battles, if the CV doesn't have like a hard-on for you, you're going to be okay. Although I did have one battle where the enemy CV just from the get-go had a hard-on for me, wave after wave after wave of planes. Now, that one that was pretty rough, but in games where the CV doesn't do that to you, which again, this is kind of sometimes the YouTuber effect, right? You're a YouTuber, people identify you, and then they just come after you, regardless if there's better ships that they can go attack. So, anyways, but that's really the only time where the Normandy will struggle. Most cases, she actually will do just fine. Alright, so going back to one other thing, which is the armor protection. Why do I like her armor? I think I like her armor mostly because she sort of has a good armor layout for the way that the game plays, right? Now, World of Warships, most of you are aware, sort of angling heavily, semi-bow in is kind of the style of play. Not historically accurate, but is the style of play. And so having good sort of frontal-ish armor around the bow area, just behind the bow area, things like that, is quite an advantage. On top of that, the Normandy is also pretty good. If you have to take a look at the areas where she could be susceptible to a lot of, let's say, HE spam, like superstructure, their superstructure really isn't all that big. And if you were to go into port view and take a look at her armor, and let's say angle her, like let's say 25 degrees or so, you'll kind of notice that she's got pretty thick armor covering most of her, with the exception of that bow and a little bit of that superstructure. Other than that, she's pretty well protected, which means that if battleships are trying to shoot you while you're angled, and they're maybe trying to go for your superstructure, they're not going to get too much damage there. In comparison with some of the other big battleships where they have these huge superstructures that really make it easy to get those AP hits in there in that superstructure. So Normandy I find to be pretty darn strong overall. Alright, so this battle does start off relatively slowly. Beginning of the battle, not too much happens. Of course, if I have an opportunity to shoot a destroyer, I will shoot a destroyer. It is something that, if you're a battleship player, it is something that you really have to think about. It's like, if you see a destroyer, should you take a shot at it? And in most cases, it's like, if the destroyer is there and it's something you can hit, you should hit it. They don't have the highest amount of HP, and as of right now, armor piercing is still pretty darn effective against them. Yes, I know, possibly in the future you're going to see some changes, and maybe they're just going to make it so it's just over pen damage or whatnot, but for now, go for those shots, right? Hell, even over pen damage hurts. I mean, if you're talking most battleship caliber shells, even the overpen is like 1,000 damage per. So that a nice chunk of destroyers. So that's the reason why the minute I had the opportunity and I saw that destroyer, I was going to take the shot. And of course, if I can kill one and get rid of one, so much the better, right? A lot of cases with like maybe even other battleships, I won't go for the kill secure sometimes, but destroyers, when I'm playing a battleship, I will almost always go for that kill secure. And I'm going to go for that kill secure because it just takes away one of the ships that can cap, it takes away one of the ships that can stealth toward me. Just a ship that can cause problems, get rid of as quickly as possible. But still, if you were to take a look at the minimap and take a look at what the enemy team has and what we have, they still have a destroyer advantage. They have an Anshan and they have a T-22. We only have a Matsuki. Now, if the Matsuki plays smart, the Matsuki can still do well. But if the Matsuki makes mistakes, get caught by the Anshan, or gets caught by the T-22, in a gunfight, I don't have all that much hope for the Matsuki. Anyways, moving on. Look at that independence. Oy. Not a good spot to be if you're in a carrier. I only got, unfortunately, a couple of overpens there. You know, had that been a good salvo, I could have pretty much almost one-shot that carrier. Carriers, again, if you're a battleship, it's sort of a choice. What do you want to do? If you're like, I gotta try to do something to prevent this carrier from launching aircraft, then I would say go for HE, maybe go for the fire. In most cases, though, I would prefer just to go for as quick of a kill as possible, right? And in that particular case, I typically just shoot AP. Because if I can get citadels, I can delete carriers very, very quick. Alright, so as you can tell, enemy team does have control of the south, and I am kind of here looking down 2 Normandies and New Mexico, and I pretty much decided right about here that this is not a good fight, and I'm going to try to turn away as much as possible. This is another one of those things that sometimes I think players, they kind of do miss, because they're afraid to go broadside, they're afraid to get deleted, right? And so sometimes you'll see what players do is they'll just say, okay, you know what, I'm in a bad position, I'm just going to stop. And I'm just going to park here in a bad one position and maybe even slowly reverse out. And what ends up happening is sometimes they get focused down by HE spam or whatnot. Here's the thing, in the way the game is right now, citadels aren't as common as they were before. And so sometimes instead of just sitting still, potentially eating a lot of damage, might even just make sense to just turn around and get the hell out of there. However, you might want to time it right? And sometimes what I mean by time it right, I mean pay attention to when the enemy is fire salvo, when is the next reload coming, right? And so you see the salvo come out, and you can go from, let's say, very angled position to slight angle where you'll still minimize damage. Maybe you'll take a hit or here there, but you'll still get like almost a full effect of a reload time, and then get turned around into a retreating position that's again angled. Kind of like what I did in this battle, right? I was kind of under threat from 3 battleships. I was like, yikes, not sure sitting around here was going to be such a good idea. Let's kind of get turned around and get out of there. And as you can tell, enemy team right now is up in terms of points. They're up in terms of the number of ships, and well, you know, we're just not doing all that hot right now. But knowing that fighting south right now is going to be quite challenging, I'm like, all right, let's clear north. Let's take the northern ACAP, which we haven't taken right now, and once we've got that all dealt with, then we'll turn back around and engage the ships from the south. And hopefully, if we're not being sort of pincered in from 2 different directions, we'll have a better fighting chance, because then we can just angle against the ships that are coming from only one direction instead of trying to angle against ships from 2 different directions. So turn back around, engaging this Normandy to the north, trying to kill it as quickly as possible. Luckily for me, there's a good hit there. I got the citadel and everything. Normandy was giving me just a little bit too much of an angle, and I was able to punish him for it. But again, like I said, citadels these days not as common as it was back in the day, because back in the day it's like broadside equals death, and not as bad these days, right? You might take 1 citadel, but you should be able to get turned around. Alright, so right there, I could have taken a shot against the enemy Normandy, but that destroyer was the more immediate threat, right? Once again, potential for torpedoes, potential for a destroyer slipping away, taking capture away from us, and it's kind of hard to deal with. I anticipated 1 salvo of torpedoes, but turned into the other one. So that was a good torpedo salvo by that Anshan. Did manage to get 1 torpedo hit on me. So now, of course, I've got to be a little bit wary. I have burn damage control, but the Anshan is a little bit too close right now, right? And not really that much cover. So you can't really start stealth firing me without taking some sort of retaliatory shot from me. And I'm sure after the last hit, his HP just wasn't all that high. So again, trying turn, prioritize the Normandy to the north. Surprised he's still not dead. But yeah, turn my attention back to the Normandy. Try to get rid of him. Another salvo out. Again, like I did mention before, I do like the Normandy's firepower. Of course, she does have the issue where she doesn't have the overmatch, right? So I would say that Normandy is a nice sort of random ship, although competitively speaking, I'm still not really sold on her. And I know we don't really have any tier 6 competitive right now, but you know, we had like tier 6 ranked battles before and things like that, and you know, I just don't think she would be that sort of competitive ship. She's much better in randoms where that firepower, that speed will allow her to deal effectively, let's say, with enemy ships. So that enemy Normandy over there, I think he's going to go down soon here. God, he's got a little bit more HP. There we go. Look at that middle turret salvo. Good lord. Really, really tight. And I'm going to land it perfectly. Bang. Dead. Alright, so there you go. As you can tell, the Anshan decided to open up on me, as the Anshan, I believe, thinks that my attention is somewhere else. But you can tell the Anshan is really low, and look at that salvo from the other Normandy on my team, in my division, and there's the Anshan. Alright, so Anshan's now taken care of. Amatsuki only really has to worry about their T-22, and of course taking caps, and we're going to try to get rid of that enemy Bogue. Don't really want to deal with aircraft that can potentially go and spot our DDs or something like that. So, you know, if I get another spot on that Bogue, I'm going to be taking my shot. Now, Bogue, as most of you are aware, is a painfully slow carrier. It's a carrier I really didn't like when I played it. I just didn't like the fact that it was too damn slow. And being as slow as it is, if you get caught in trouble, you really have no way to run away. There's another good hit with armor piercing. This is what I said, right? If you're dealing with a carrier as a battleship, you might want to consider using armor piercing because you can't get those citadel hits. Ouch. Like I said, really garbage AA, right? Tier 6 French battleship AA against a Bogue. And yeah, I almost didn't lose any planes. So that's painful. That's painful. Another salvo here coming on the Bogue. Okay, not the best damage, but that's alright. Oof, I don't have a lot of HP left, but hey, you know, not a lot of HP is not really a huge problem, because that means I'm getting near maximum adrenaline rush boost right now, so that's good. Salvo, out. I think the Bogue is starting to get onto that border. Ooh, border. No. Borders. Alright, let's see these shells hit. Oh, come on. Come on. That could have been my kill. Anyways, sometimes you just don't get it. Just don't get that kill. Anyways, so in the current state of things, I'm pretty low HP. I'm like 8,000 HP. Other friendly Normandy on my team, I think his HP is not looking too great as well. Enemy battleships, however, all three of them are still pretty healthy. So in terms of health, they have a pretty big advantage. Yeah, you'll see. They have a pretty big advantage, but they don't really maximize the advantage. There we go. You can see that the other Normandy on my team is under half, and the Bayern on my team is way lower than that. T-22s killed off our Ryujo, so really this is three pretty damaged battleships fighting three still relatively healthy battleships. However, Congo decides that he wants to give me a little bit too much side, so I hit him for a pretty hefty chunk. No citadels, but 4 penetrations is still gonna net you a good chunk of damage. Of course, you know, every time I fire, and knowing that if I show too much side, I will take shots and probably take too much damage and maybe sink, try to, you know, get as much firepower out and then try to get myself back into an angled state as well. Congo, not exactly in the best of positions. Currently, is he beached? I think he might have beached himself right around here. So once again, you know, I'm now trying to pay attention to that New Mexico that's there. And I'm like, alright, gotta try to present as good of an angle as possible so I don't eat too much damage. And a lot of times when you're involved in sort of these battleship on battleships fights, you gotta be patient, you gotta be calm, you gotta know when to angle, when to reveal that side, you know, when are you willing to risk it, when should you not. kind of thing. So, you know, a lot of good decision making has to be made, and a lot of it does come from being patient. Got a pretty darn good salvo there in on that Congo, and there we go. That's my high caliber. Kill number 4 has been secured. So now our attention turns to the New Mexico. The New Mexico is essentially alone now in the B cap, and 2 Normandies. If we can get the New Mexico into a good enough position, we should be able to kill him relatively quickly. We are low HP, but like I said, it does mean maximum adrenaline rush. We're going to have pretty darn fast reloads, and with a Normandy, with it having a really fast reload, watch out, because that's a lot of firepower incoming. So New Mexico decides to give me a little bit too much of a broadside, and like I did mention before, the Normandy does have reasonably decent salvos, right? That's a nice chunk of HP off. Oof. The Normandy, 300 HP. Oh boy. Was risky, but he went for the turn, right? And again, like sometimes I mentioned, you know, if you're in a position that's really, really bad, yeah, sometimes you might want to consider risking it. Our Normandy is able to nuke their New Mexico. It was a T-22 that unfortunately I just lost spotting on. Oh, should have been able to kill him there, but figured, judging by his current position of that T-22, that he might be coming for the B cap, or maybe he's going to swing up and go for the A cap. So either way, I'm going to try to cut him off here. And not only that, but I'm also trying to split the potential ships that the other Normandy can fire at, right? Because he's got to decide, you know, does he want to angle against the Normandy in my division, the Bayern, or me? He can't angle against all of us if we're in multiple different directions, right? And he also can't engage us as easily because he's got to have to turn his turrets, and that's all time. So again, you know, when you're playing, right, these are all things you want to consider thinking about, right? Hey, if I'm engaging this other ship, if I decide to all lump together, I'm making it easy for the other guy to angle. I'm making life easy for them. But if I split off, change directions, now it's going to be more challenging. T-22 decides to get cute, opens fire, gets spotted, I come around, blap, and that's my Kraken. There we go. Now I've just got to deal with this enemy Normandy. Enemy Normandy is a lot healthier than the Normandies on our team. We're pretty sure we're going to get the win now because we still have the Matsuki, but with us being both really low HP, if the enemy Normandy kills both of us, he's still got a chance, because like Matsuki is a DD, is able to go and grab the caps and things like that. But like I said, Normandy is a pretty, you know, it's a pretty small battleship, reasonably agile, and pretty darn fast too. So if the Matsuki goes for another cap, the Normandy can also kind of cap pretty quickly as well. And after killing both of us, points total is going to favor their team because we're not up by all that much. So things can be kind of interesting. Right now, I'm pretty low, and that Normandy is pretty damn healthy. I do chunk him quite nicely there for 11,000, and in return, he's only able to get about maybe 4,000 damage on me. I'm down to quite low HP. Did manage to save that last heal to heal up this little bit here. And now it's really going to be a battle of patience. And by the way, that's today's fortune cookie. Be patient. The Great Wall didn't got built in one day. I know the English is kind of crap, but hey, it's fortune cookies, right? And really what I mean by this is patience is sort of timing things. You'll notice that I'm timing when the enemy Normandy is going to have a salvo, and see, I'll stay angled. I'll know that now he has to present a broadside, which means that I'm going to be able to get a shot off. I see that he's going broadside. I know he's going to try to get more of his guns to fire at me, so I stay angled. I wait until, see, those salvos get fired, and then I'm going to wait for that reload and go for it, right? So it's like, it's sometimes with battleships, that's all it is. It's being patient. It's like, when do you go for that shot, right? So right now he's low. I'm like, all right, I know he's probably got the 4 turret reloaded. I'm going to go for it because all of mine are coming up right now. And I'm going to go for that large salvo that can probably end this game. So there we go. Bunch of shells going in. And there you go. There is kill number 6. So final results, 531,098 credits earned, 9,526 experience. That was good. You know, got myself Kraken and, you know, high caliber and Confederate, so all the good stuff. Total damage, 172,849, which actually is my highest tier 6 game to date. That was good. 3 citadels, 6 ships sunk. which is very, very nice. And in terms of my base experience, this game was actually pretty nice as well. Base experience was 2,461, which is, again, if you look at the kills, for my division, we had about 10 kills out of 12 enemy ships. In terms of damage dealt, 105 hits, all of it with armor piercing, doing that large damage total I mentioned earlier. Potential damage 1.9 million, and in terms of received damage 65,000. In terms of credits earned with the premium account, 444,058 credits, which is really, really nice. Anyways, folks, I hope you all have yourselves a really good Monday. I do apologize for sounding like crap throughout this whole video. And, if I did have some really, weird edits, I do apologize for that. That was like a coughing fit in the middle of a sentence. So, yeah, apologies about that. But yeah, take care. Have yourselves a good one. There are other videos coming up soon. And I will talk to all of you again another time.